Hey yo guys, what's up and welcome back to Toe Tags. When we started this channel, we had a series going where we would try to get each other into a different band that they didn't really listen to before. We haven't done this series in a while, but we're gonna kind of kick it back off right now. And I've chosen a band that I'm gonna try to get TV Fish into. This is a band that we have covered on the channel before, but he's never really dived deep into the discography. This band started in 1969, and the album I've chosen was put out in 1990. Today is going to be TV Fish's first impressions of Painkiller by Judas Priest. Alright, yeah, so this is an album that I've loved for a long time. Have you listened to this album?
No.
I know you've listened to at least the title track.
I've heard that song for sure, and I love that song. But outside of that, I may have heard another song or two, but I've never given this album a full focused listen before. And that is, it's correct. We have covered this album, or this band on the channel before with Firepower and reacted to some videos. So it's not like the band is foreign to me. I've heard Priest before, but I've never really given a focused listen to this album before. So it's still going to be fresh for me.
Yeah, and I just think Judas Priest is one of those bands where you really do need to dive into their discography, and there's really no better album to start with. This one's got just tons of great material on it. I'm excited to listen to it again. I haven't heard it in a while. So it's going to be TV Fish's first time listening to it in its entirety. So we'll be back with his first impressions and my impressions after listening to it a bunch of times in just a second. Stay put. Alright, so we just listened to Painkiller for my 100th or so time and his first time. And I'm going to start off a little bit, just kind of go over some of my highlights and stuff like that. And then I'm going to hand the floor to TV Fish so he can tell you guys his first impressions, because that's really what this video is about. Some highlight tracks for me on this album: Hell Patrol, Living Bad Dreams, One Shot at Glory, Metal Meltdown. Honestly, most of this album is really solid to me. If I had to say, I think Battle Hymn, which is the interlude track, number 9, is probably the weakest point of this album. Not that it's bad, it's just I wish it almost wasn't there, because even though it adds a nice intro to One Shot at Glory, the track after it, I always just kind of want to skip it. So I kind of wish it wasn't there, but it's not bad. But some highlights, man, like the guitaring on this album, like Glenn Tipton is just insane. The guy's got you can hear the classical roots in this guy's playing, and no two solos really sound the same. He just does all these cool little shreddy licks all over the place. Really love it. The vocals, though, are the highlight of this album for me. Just the absolute highlight. There's so much range and so much finesse, and Rob Halford's vibrato and his what am I trying to say? His layering, his vocal harmonies are just so fucking good. I can't get enough of it. And every song I wrote, oh my god, the vocals, every song, because it's so fucking good. And it's just, the songs are so well put together. There's such a good variety of songs. I don't know, I could go on and on and on. This is a really solid album for me. It's why I picked it, but I want to hear TV Fish's opinions of it. So go, give it to him, give it to me.
I'm going to start with this. The first track on this album, the title track.
Okay.
It is honestly one of the best songs I've ever heard. And I think a lot of metalheads could possibly agree and feel the same way, because that song is one of the easiest 10s I've given any song in terms of like when we do ratings for tracks.
Yep.
One of the easiest 10s I've ever given. Every single thing about the song is top notch.
Yeah.
The iconic drum intro, the ridiculous guitar solos and the pink harmonics, Rob Halford's vocals.
Yeah.
Everything about that song is amazing. The fact that it's like this 6-minute song, but like a minute and a half are just solos, crazy guitar solos. The whole song is just beautifully crafted. Like, it is like the perfect song. There's a handful of perfect songs out there. This is certainly one of them. Just this song is insane. Now, one issue comes from the fact that starts the album. So it's like, how do you follow up to such a godlike, amazing song? And you have Hell Patrol, and I like it, but I think I'm gonna get a better idea of how much I like it as I listen throughout the week, because it's really hard to follow up such a great song with like how do you do that, right? So Hell Patrol is good, but didn't really blow my mind as much as the first track because the first track is just that crazy, right?
Well, the point I'd like to make is you're also going from a track you're familiar with to a track you're not familiar with at all.
That's true.
So that transition is also hard to hurdle over.
That's true, because I have heard, you know, the first track many times.
Yeah.
I love that song. So that is a good point. I really like the harmonies in Hell Patrol, and you did mention that with Rob Halford's voice. His harmonies upon himself are great, and his vocal range is just astounding.
Yeah.
He goes way upstairs, and he doesn't go like low, but he's like on like in the living room level, you know?
Yeah, mid-range, yeah.
Mid-range. And I think there was a song, which one was it? It was Leather Rebel. I think the fact that he's not like super duper high up with his vocal range gives a good example as to how vast the vocal range is, because he does have that mid-level, but then he can go to different levels of highs. Super high, moderate high, like there's a lot of versatility there. Another thing about versatility is the solo and the touch of evil not being super duper shredfest, which is a good example of how there's versatility in the guitaring on this album as well. Guitar solos are crazy. They're all amazing. Honestly, there's no bad solo on this album. From everything I heard, it's just whenever there's a solo, a good chunk of the time, in my notes I'm like, okay, yeah, the solo's good. Oh yeah, it's a good solo. And sometimes I'd listen to a song and I'd think, like, you know, on this album I'd think, okay, the solo is gonna really make this song, you know?
Yeah.
And there was one, I think it might have been, oh man, there's a few of them like that, but I think Metal Meltdown, which is one of my highest rated tracks behind the title track, is one of those songs that started good and just got better and better and better. I love the bridge. I love how the guitar intro at the beginning, and you mentioned this, starts in the left channel and goes to the right channel.
Yeah.
That was sick. I love that. And you don't really see that anywhere else in the album, so it makes it a unique moment.
Yeah.
So I thought that was sick. The album, for me, honestly, was just a consistent level of good. Like, the highlight tracks for me behind Painkiller were Metal Meltdown and also a touch of Evil, because I felt like it was a good, I don't want to say like emotional track, because you have that even more with Living Bad Dreams, but I feel like it was a good, more melodic kind of track, but still had a bite to it. I love the straightforward groove. It's pretty simple, but it drives home really hard, and I love that.
That's the thing with Touch of Evil. It's also pretty sure the first song that introduces synth.
Yeah,
So
that was cool
you get
too.
a new element to it, but they definitely bring the tempo down, but they still hit very, very hard. So the song's got punch to it, but it's got a very different feel than the rest of the songs. And you did mention the solo in that song, and it is different than the rest of the solos. It's much more sultry, and it's got just a lot more attitude to it, where the other solos are more blazing and more kind of just in your face shreddy. This is a lot more like a little laid back and just really, like, sultry is the best word I can describe it, but it's definitely flavorful.
Now, something about Battle Hymn. Now, I know you said what you just said about it earlier. I actually gave it a higher rating than most interlude tracks, because when I was hearing it, I thought to myself, this would be a great intro to the album. It would be a great intro to any song, even though it does flow right into One Shot at Glory. Yes, I feel like any song on this album can come after that and I'll still be happy. However, you know, obviously the intro to the album itself with that big drum intro is this big iconic thing, and I wouldn't have it any other way, but if I'm putting the album on shuffle and that comes on afterwards, I'm fine. You know, it's not, I'm not like, yeah, here we go. So, another thing I want to mention is Nightcrawler.
Okay.
Nightcrawler, when it came on, I know I've heard that song before. The rest of the songs, like out of all these, the only two I know I've heard are the title track and Nightcrawler. And Nightcrawler is because, like, the other week you put it on at one point, it just came on, whatever, right? I like the groove. I really love the groove in the bridge, especially. The quiet part of the song doesn't really build up to much, but, and you mentioned this, that the more you hear it, the more it gets stuck in your head, and I'm thinking, you know what, I think this song has a lot of potential to really shoot up for me. I think the more that song's gonna come on, the more I'm gonna enjoy the groove, the more catchy it's gonna get in a good way. Like, I really think that there's potential for that song to really shoot up for me. Like, that's one thing I kind of noticed after it ended. I'm like, you know what, that one, I'm gonna watch out for that one, because it could totally shoot up for me.
Yeah, for me it's the vocals, really. Like, the guitaring, the riffing, and all that stuff is all bonus stuff for me. But, like, when I was first learning this album back when I first started listening to it years ago, the vocals of the songs just started getting stuck in my head, and I'm going, oh my god, like Nightcrawler, what a sick song, and I'm hearing the vocals in my head, and I loved it. I was like, I gotta get more of this, gotta get more of this. So that's how it was for me. It might be different for you, but I do think songs like that will grow on you. It actually is one of my lower rated songs on the album, but I still love that song.
Another one I ended up liking, I guess, like, you know, I've kind of went over through like the next tier, and then after that, I liked All Guns Blazing. That was a pretty good one. I liked the shots that were in that one. I also liked One Shot at Glory. The bridge was cool. There was a really cool polyrhythm that happens where the kick is playing 16th notes while the rhythm guitar is doing triplets on top of that. So I found that to be a pretty cool, you know, thing that I noticed. That I didn't really notice many polyrhythms on the album, at least that kind of just stuck out to me other than that, but they're probably in there. Like, I'll probably find something, you know, as I listen over the week.
Nice gallop beat in that song too.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Interesting, because it's a kind of a war song.
Yeah.
So you had a gallop beat for a war song, it's kind of cool.
Now, Living Bad Dreams, although it is one of the lower rated tracks for me, I think it's because I was unsure. Here's the thing, I didn't know when the album was gonna end. I didn't know that this was the last track. If I knew that this was the last track, I think my mentality towards it would have been a bit different. But because I thought there was gonna be more after, I would have been like, why is there another emotional song when we had A Touch of Evil and it did a little bit better for me? So that's kind of what influenced my opinion to Living Bad Dreams. But now that I know that that's the end, I can understand that it's a really good ending to the album, especially when you have the organ there at the end and that they just play the groove all the way out. Like, I think it's a really strong ending. It was just kind of my experience of like, is this the end or not? But it happened to be the end, and you know what? I think that will grow on me as well the more I listen to the album straight through, because I think it's a good cap onto the entire experience of the album.
Yeah. So, I don't know, we're gonna listen to the album all week long, and I'm gonna do the same thing because I love this album. But yeah, we'll be back in a week to give you guys our full and final review of Painkiller. We'll see if TV Fish likes it as much as I like it. That's it for this video, guys, so be sure to like it, leave a comment down below, and let us know what you guys think of this iconic, legendary album. If you guys are Judas Priest fans or not, just sound off in the comments and let us know what you think. If you're new, subscribe to the channel. That's it from us for now. I'm Vile Self.
I'm TV Fish.
We'll see you guys on the next one. Keep those heads banging.